Today we're going to do a effect that's based off the game called Super Smash Bros. And in the game, one of the items was a soccer ball. And whenever you hit the soccer ball, it caught on fire and hit the other player. So I made a VFX style real life version of that, and today I'm going to show you how to do it.
Kick it.
So let's begin. First of all, we need to change Blender render to the cycles render, and then we can hit X, and if we hit the letter X on our keyboard, this little thing pops up and we can hit delete. And I'm going to go very slow today because I'm going to take my time, because this is really a beginner tutorial as well as a tutorial that experienced Blender users can use, and because it's just really a cool project. But I really want to make this tutorial where if you're new to Blender, you'll be able to start from scratch and be able to go off from there. So yeah, let's hit Shift A and go to UV sphere. That's going to create a sphere, circle. And now we need to hit the space bar, and if we hit the space bar, it's going to pop up this search thing. I'm going to type in quick, and one of the search results is going to be quick fur, quick fluid. We want to click on quick smoke, and it's going to pop up this domain. And you might ask, what is this? Well, if the purpose of the domain is whenever the fire goes off on the sphere, you want it where Blender's not having to render a whole bunch of smoke way up here and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. It only is going to render what's in the domain, which allows it where your computer can go faster. But you can also change the size of the domain. Anyway, so first of all, we need to drag out this menu right here and go to the far right on this tab where it says Physics. And having the domain selected, we need to make the resolution 94. Okay, and now that we've done that, we need to click on the sphere, and in the Physics tab, we need to go down here, and where it says Flow Type, we need to make this fire and smoke. And so we also need to select Initial Velocity. It's important. Okay, so then right-click on the box, and then go to your timeline, click on this button right here, which will send you to the very first frame, and hit play. And you see fire popping up. But one thing that you'll notice, it's really slow because it's having to render everything in the domain, everything in the box. So there's actually an easier way to do this little thing I found that's really cool. Hit the pause button and go to make sure the domain is selected and click on Smoke Adaptive Domain. And so watch what happens whenever I go to the very first frame, and if I hit play, this little box appears, and it only renders out what is essential. Like, it's not going to render out everything in the domain. Pretty cool thing. And also a lot of the things I learned about fire and cycles, I learned from a channel called Blender HD, and I wanted to say a shout out to him because he really helped me to be able to pull off this effect. And I'm also going to leave a link in the description to the video that helped me out. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna hit pause, and you'll notice that if I click on this tab right here and click render, you're just going to see the domain box. You're not actually seeing the fire. And you're like, what's with that? Well, we actually have to go to the node editor and fix that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So first of all, hit solid, go to solid mode, and I'm going to drag this by left click. I'm going to drag this up. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this corner piece and bring this down, and that's going to create another timeline. And with this timeline, I'm actually going to turn this into the node editor. Anyway, I'm going to drag this even farther up to get some more room for the node editor. About right there. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, there we go. It's kind of hard to bring it up sometimes. Okay, so we need to hit use nodes, and it's going to create two nodes, a material output and a diffuse BSDF. Okay, and we need to delete diffuse, so right click on this, hit the delete button, or hit X, and now hit Shift A, go to shader, and we're going to add a volume absorption and a volume, go to shader again, and a volume scatter. And another way, like the menu that whenever I hit Shift A a second ago, another way that you can get to that menu is if you go to add, this little menu will pop up. So that's just another way you can access the menu. Personally, I like to hit Shift A because it's easier to get to the menu that way. Okay, so I'm going to right click, drag this out, and I'm going to go ahead and make this look at it in the render view. Okay, so it's still the box, so I'm going to hit Shift A and go to shader. I'm going to hit add shader and left click to select it right there. I'm going to bring the volume scatter to the top and bring the volume absorption, left click and drag to the shader right here. And then I want to bring this shader to, instead of the surface, I'm going to bring it to the volume. Okay, so you see that it kind of like made the edges of the box kind of transparent in the way. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's actually, we're developing the shader for the smoke right now. So now we need to tell Blender that we don't want to look at the box, we want to look at the smoke in the box. So in order to do this, we need to add an attribute. So hit Shift A and go to Input, go to Attribute, like so. And then we're going to get the FAC, and we're going to take this to density right there, and then the FAC and take it to the density right there. Okay, we see the sphere, but we do not see the smoke. So we need to go to Name, and I'm going to scroll and so you can see it a little bit better. And we need to type in density. So if we type in density, we're like, whoa, now we can see the smoke. It's pretty cool. And now the next thing we need to do is mess with the fire. So I'm going to hit Shift A and go to Add Shader and put that right there. And oh, there's one thing I forgot to mention. We need to be able to control the density of the smoke, how strong it will be. A great way we can do this is to go over here and hit Shift A and go to where it says Converter, go to Math, and one second. We need to take the fact to value, and then the value we need to take to density right here, and the value to the density right here. And it seems like it messed it up, but we need to click on Add, and we need to change it to Multiply. And once we do that, the smoke will come back, and we can change the value. Like we can make the smoke, like let's say 25. It makes the smoke incredibly powerful. Or we can make it something like 3. And that 3 is where I'm going to have it at. So yeah, so that's how we can control the density of the smoke. It's really nice to have. Okay, now I'm going to drag down the add shader that we created a second ago, and now we're going to make the fire. Yes. So first of all, we need to hit Shift A, go to Shader, and click on Emission. Okay, so now that we have emission, I'm going to bring the mission to Add Shader, and now we need to add another attribute to tell Blender that we need to look at the thing in the domain instead of the box itself. So go to Input and click on Attribute, and I'm going to bring the first I'm going to call this Flame, and I'm going to bring the FAC to Strength. Okay, so as you can see, we can see the fire, and we can change the different colors that we want. We can make it blue, we can make it red, but honestly this looks very unrealistic to have a solid color. So I'm going to show you an alternative to that. If we add a color ramp will solve this problem. So if we go to, let's see, it's in Converter, go to color ramp, and this is such a handy thing to have. And I'm going to bring the strength to color right there. And now hit the plus button on the color ramp to add different markers. We're going to add about 3. And I'm going to left click on this, drag this to over here. And now having this selected, I'm going to click on the color. And I'm going to make the color brighter. And then I'm going to make it kind of like a beige color. Okay? And then I'm going to bring the marker over here. Oh, hold on. Left click on this, drag it over here. And I'm going to change this color to a bright yellow. So bring up the brightness, then make it yellow. Alright, and then the next thing, I'm going to make the marker come over here. And we're going to make this kind of like a bright orange. Alright, and then I think I need to add another marker, so I'm going to click add marker, and I'm going to make this, first I need to bring up the brightness, and I think I'm going to make this like kind of reddish. Okay, so yeah, that's starting to look like realistic fire. Looks great. We want to be able to control the strength of the fire, so drag the attribute down, and we can go to converter, go to math, and we're just going to essentially do the same thing that we did with the smoke. We're going to bring the FAC to value right here, and then we're going to change the add to multiply by left clicking, and then bring the value to strength. Okay, and it's going to be kind of dark, and that's because we have it at 0.5. But if we change this to 5, it's going to make it strong. And we can also make it 2, we can make it 3, just whatever we want. It gives us control over the settings. So yeah, I'm going to make it 3. Looks good to me. Last time I did this, I liked it at 5, but it's up to you, whatever looks the most realistic to you. Okay, so now we are done with making the fire and the smoke. So let me go back to solid mode, and we need to reposition the camera. So I'm going to select the camera, and then I'm going to hit the letter N on my keyboard, and so I'm going to scroll down, and where it says lock camera to view, excuse me, so, and if I hit numpad 0, if I move in the 3D view, it also moves the camera. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so I'm going to put it about right there. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to add the background movie. So let me unlock the camera to view and go down to where it says background images. I'm going to select this, click add image, and instead of image we're actually going to do a movie clip. So unselect the camera clip, and I'm going to click open. I'm going to go to the file that I have my movie clip in, and here's the movie clip. I have dscn dot movie, and it's essentially just me in a field somewhere kicking a ball, soccer ball. Okay, so we need to bring up the opacity to 1.0, and then I need to go to frame 120. Alright, so first of all, we need to make the domain bigger, but the fire, we need to take it to the first frame, so let's click on this button to make the fire stop. And go back to frame 120, and I'm going to get my sizing tool and make the domain wider and also longer. A little bit more wider, longer, like so. And then I'm just going to bring this up. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. And if we look at frame 119, you can just barely see the soccer ball right there, but this sphere needs to be smaller, so if you hit S, you can actually make the sphere smaller. So I'm going to get about to right there, and then hit left click. Alright, and then at frame 120, it looks, that actually, let me see, it looks like the soccer ball is about right there. So now that I have it where I need it, I'm going to hit I, and then left click on location, and then I'm going to go to frame 121, and the soccer ball moves to right here. I'm just going to move this to right here with my location tool, and making sure that I'm on frame 121, I'm going to hit the letter I on my keyboard, and it's going to pop up this menu, click location, and I'm just going to do this several times. Hit I, location, and go to frame 23, hit I, location, 124. I'm going to hit locate it to where it needs to be, then hit I, location. Kind of a repetitive process, but anyway. Alright, I, location, 126. I, location, 127. I, location. I, location, 129. Sorry, this is kind of a repetitive process, but we're almost done. 130, it goes out of the frame, so I'm just going to move it way up here. I, location, 103.1. Make it come up to about right there where it's out of the footage. Okay, so let's look at our keyframes. So we see that it's following the ball. That's great. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is, if we go to the very first frame, we see that the fire starts immediately. Well, we don't really want that because the fire doesn't need to start until I hit the soccer ball. So what we can do is we can actually we can go making sure that we have our sphere selected by right-clicking on our sphere. We can go to the Physics tab, and we can, where it says Surface and Flame Rate, we can actually tweak with that and add keyframes to it. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So at frame 119, we want to add a keyframe because that's right before I hit the ball. So I'm going to make the surface 0 and the flame rate 0, and that's going to take away the smoke and take away the fire. And now I'm going to hit I, the letter I on my keyboard, and that's going to add a keyframe right there and a keyframe right there. And so that everything past 119, frame 119, is going to be no fire whatsoever. But then at 120, frame 120, I'm going to make the surface 1 and the flame rate 1. And then I'm going to hit the letter I, and then the letter, letter I. There we go. Okay, so let's see how it looks. Alright, so the character goes forward and hits the ball. Alright, so that's what we want. And now let me render it out to see how it's looking. Okay, this looks pretty good, but you notice how the smoke right here is kind of bright? It's because we have a light source, so we need to actually move this light source right here. Let me try to right click on it. It's kind of tricky. There we go. Move it a little bit out of the way, about right there. Okay, so if we go back to, if we hit numpad 0, go back to our camera, we can see that that it isn't so bright in that area. So that's great. Go back to solid, and the next thing that we need to do is we need to, hold on one second. Let me look through the footage one more time. It's always good to look at your footage again. Alright, so yeah, that I'm pretty sure that's going to work. So now we're ready for the next part. Go to your the camera tab, and where it says, kind of scroll down and go to where it says film, and we're going to click on transparent, and I'll show you what that does. But if we go to render now, it's actually going to make the background transparent where it's not a gray background, and it's actually going to show the footage. So, yay, awesome. Now let's go ahead and tweak the resolution, because I actually filmed this footage in 720p and this is in 1080p. So first of all, and if you don't know the resolution on your footage, if you go to your folder on your computer, and if you right click on the movie clip and click on properties, you can actually look at the resolution. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna make this 1280 because that's what it said in the properties, and then I'm gonna make this 720. Okay. The next thing that I need to do is make this 100%. Okay. Everything's looking good, and I know that I filmed it in 30 frames per second, so change that to 30 frames per second. Okay, so now we are ready to do the render layers. So an easy way to get to this, to the render layers, to actually put the movie behind the rendered layer, you have to go to your node editor. So because if you render it out just like this, it's not actually going to show the movie. Even though it shows that in the 3D view, it doesn't actually render it that way. So I'll show you what we need to do. We need to, where it says default, we need to go to compositing, and that's going to open up the node editor, and click use node, and then click backdrop, and I'm going to drag the compositor out, and then click on this little camera button that's going to render this out real quick. And while it's rendering, let me look at what frame it's on real quick. It's on frame 131. Okay, yeah, I'm going to change that. I actually want it to be at 126. Let's make the frame, I want it to render out a frame 126. So I need to start from the very beginning and hit play. Hold on 1 second. And right about there. Okay, yeah. So I'm sorry about that. Let's go back to our compositor once we are on frame 126. And let me hit the camera button one more time. And it's going to render out frame 126, starting with the fire and everything like that. And while that's working, I'm going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to go to Input and click on the movie clip. Alright, and I'm going to select, you can just click on this button, I'm going to select the movie clip that I selected earlier. So yep. And now I need to put the rendered layers on top of the movie clip. So an easy way to do this is just to hit Shift A and go to color and click on alpha over. And I'm going to make the render layers on the bottom, and I'm going to make the movie clip on top. Okay, and we see it's working, and then I need to hit convert primo. So one more time, let me kind of illustrate this. The alpha over makes the rendered layers on top like so. But whenever I put the movie clip right here, it makes the image be in the background. So yeah. One thing that I discovered that made the fire look really cool is if you hit Shift A and you go to, let's see here, filter, you can go to glare, and let me kind of, there we go, it kind of went away from me for a second, and I'm going to left click right there, and that's going to add a glare to the footage. See the glare that was just added right there? Pretty cool. I'm going to make the streaks about 7 of them. And yeah, it just makes the fire look more realistic. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to make sure our dimensions are right, and we did that earlier, so that's great. We need to tell the computer where we want the video to be saved at, so I'm going to click on this button right here, and I'm going to save this to my folder called Flaming Soccer. And I'm going to call this video Soccer Ball of Flame. It's kind of long, I know. And hit accept. Okay, so right now it's set to PNG, we don't want PNG. That's actually the proper way to do it, but I'm not going to do it that way simply because it takes too long. I like to do it the easy way. So, but whatever floats your boat. But the PNG would make a sequence of images. I'm going to make it H.264. And so if I do that, I need to go to Encoding, and then I need to drag out the menu a little bit more and change AVI to H.264. And this is something really cool I discovered. If you click on this lossless output, it makes it where whenever you render it out, it will make it where it will be completely lossless, like no quality will be lost in the video. And so that's really great. You really want to render the video out in this format because whenever you go to part 2, you're actually going to put the movie clip that was rendered out in this tutorial back into Blender and re-render it with a new effect on top of it. And so you want lossless output, or the quality might suffer. Anyway, so that's just some good advice. And the audio, we're going to add the audio later, so don't worry about that, unless, depending on your circumstance, you do whatever you want. But anyway, there you go. So we're ready to start the animation. Let's do this. And let me kind of drag this out so I can kind of see. Oh, I made a mistake. I am so sorry. The ball actually got rendered in the footage. I know how to fix this, so bear with me. It's good that I make mistakes in the tutorials, so if you make mistakes, you know how to fix them too. Let me stop the render. Oops. What we need to do is we need to make it where this the ball actually disappears and comes back at frame 120. So let's go to default. Okay. And this is going to involve our timeline, so I'm going to bring out the timeline. And let me click on solid. So having the cylinder selected, I am going to go to my properties right up here and watch what I'm going to do. The sphere is right here, and I'm going to make it where at frame 119 you cannot, it's not going to be rendered and it's not going to be seen. So I'm going to click on that and see how the cylinder just, I mean not the cylinder, but the sphere disappeared. Well, I'm going to hit I on top of this and I on top of that, and then at frame 120 it's going to come back. So I'm going to click on this and then click on that and hit I, and then I on this, the letter I on my keyboard. So if you look at what's happening from 119, so yeah, that's how we're gonna pull that off. So I'm sorry about that, and you know, everybody makes mistakes, but hey, we learn from it, and I hope you learn from my mistakes. So yeah, let's render out the animation. So yeah, now it's not rendering out the sphere. So yeah, it's great. It's gonna work. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, and then once it does that, it should do that. Okay, awesome. All right, so I'm going to pause the recording and show you the rendered results. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and if you have a question, you can leave a comment. To those of you who see my channel and the original content I put out, please subscribe. Be a part of this. Doing special effects with a free program is something to share about, something to learn and have fun. Subscribe and share. And now the render results are going to pop up, and then part 2.
Kick it.